Hi everyone, I don't think you'll remember me, but this is Raise Asia from Twitter, from Quora, from all that political jazz that I was once very into, and I'm still very much into that. So even though I haven't been posting because I got kicked out of Quora, and also I stopped doing X, Twitter, because it just didn't become part of my path anymore. However, I've never stopped looking at the political movement, especially the rise of Asia, the Asian century via China, and the uplifting, especially of Africa now, with Traore being basically the new Thomas Sankara. So basically we're seeing this world undergoing this revolution against this whole Western paradigm that we're so used to. However, I am going to disclose something. So for the past few years, why there's been a big hiatus is that I have been going on a more spiritual kind of path, so off on a tangent. And all this time, I can't get the political thing off my mind. But I have been delving into other areas in life, especially ones which involve the divination side of life, because my own personal life took a beating a few years ago, and it got me thinking a lot about where I was heading. But I've now decided maybe I should combine these two things in my life and do something with both sides of this knowledge spectrum that I have. So I'm going to do a tarot card reading on China first, and then I will do regular tarot readings, divinations for countries. This is called mundane astrology, but I'm not doing the astrological, purely just divination. But I am into astrology in a big way. So I know this will probably turn a lot of you off should you even click on to this video after this long break that I've had. But for those of you who do enjoy going on this particular journey or ride, let's see what we have, okay? So this is how it's going to work. Tarot is nothing spooky, and it's nothing weird either. Astrology is even less weird than tarot. But tarot is just basically asking a question. So in life, you can ask a question with any object, anything. However, a response can only make sense to you if you understand the symbolic meaning. There's a difference between signs and symbols. A sign is something that tells you exactly what it is. For example, if you see the golden arches and you say that's McDonald's, that's a sign telling you that it's a fast food joint. However, if you take a look at, say, a black box, so that can have various meanings. It can mean a black box, something that you can put something in. It can also mean a system that you don't really know what's inside. Or if you're aware of the occult, the black box means Saturn. So that's what I mean by symbols, okay? So what we're going to do today is, because we are in a trade war zone between the US and China, I'm going to do a reading, one for the energy of China and the other for the energy of the US. And I'm going to put them side by side so we can have a good look. So this deck is called the Tarot Neo-Colonial de la America. And why I chose this particular deck, there are many different types of tarot decks, by the way, is simply because this deck talks about colonial rule and its effects and our the ramifications of what colonial rule does, the byproducts. So this is why I think this particular deck is good to use. All right, now the first thing that we're going to do is draw a card for China, and then we're going to draw a card for the US and see what energies these two countries hold currently regarding the trade war. Okay, so now the first card we're going to draw is called a significator card. And let's draw one for China. Okay, so the significator card for China is going to be the 10 of coins. Now, that's an excellent card. Now, what's the significator card for America? USA. What's the significator card for the US? Okay. Let me get that back together. Okay, what's this? Now, that wasn't good. See? This is what tarot does. That was already a mess, right? A whole batch of cards just flew out. So the energy is very erratic in the US. You can just see it. But we're not going to consider that because you can just say I'm biased and I just did awful shuffling. But that one came out. Okay. So this is the Empress in reverse. Okay. So as you can now see, the one that's representing China is the 10 of coins. This is a very good card. Okay, so over here in the modern day retelling of the story of Jesus Christ, you see the three wise men here. You can see one is carrying water, one is carrying like a plastic kind of container of petroleum. As we all know, these two things are basically like prized possession, natural resources, which cause wars traditionally. Just have a sip of water. And this baby here, this little kid, is holding a mobile phone, the latest of technology, with the mother looking on. On the background, you can see uniform housing, which means every generation of or the people are catered for because there's adequate living construction. And also you can see with water and fuel, this means the country is prospering, right? There's enough for growth. There's enough for power generation because with water, you can grow things. And with fuel, you can manufacture. So out of the trade war, if you look at this card, China is in a position of abundance. Now, this particular card, remember how it came out. This is reversed. The energy is reversed. Now, surprisingly, this is what makes tarot really funky and why I'm really into stuff like this. The card that came out, look what's here. This sign, the golden arches, okay? So this is actually the Archduchess Maria Theresa of Austria. She was the only female ruler, basically, in her time. And she is very prone to indulgence. So her reign was generally good, but she is prone to indulgence. And this Empress energy is basically somebody who can give and take away with equal force. And if you take a look at the cow here, because this came out in reverse, this Empress figure here is probably milking the cow for all it's got. And so this card, because it's held in this reverse state, it is a card of indulgence, of expectation on things that it feels it deserves, but without having the generosity that it once had, which was to give, but not just take. Okay, so now that's part one. Now we're going to look at what this trade war is going to do for these two countries. What is the common link of this trade war? What's going to happen, the final result or the near future result of this particular trade war? Okay, so this is going to be a judgment card. This means results are coming. So this judgment cloud, if you look, judgment card, if you look really closely, can you see what this is? Yeah, so this is like a mushroom cloud from an atomic bomb type thing. So these two energies combined, of course, there's literal viewing of this card, which means there could be an all-out hot war. But if you look closely, there's a lot of funny commercial things going on as well, like end sale. Then you've got the speakers on blast, which is all kind of heralding modern consumerism, or maybe the end of modern consumerism as we know it. Maybe the kind of wasteful times in which American culture is so desirous of is going to come to an apocalyptic end. This is one interpretation besides the obvious hot war thing. Okay, so over here, it seems as though everybody is waiting for some sort of resolution in terms of this. It clearly looks like, you know, supermarket expenditure type of movement thing here. So the current energy, near future, is that there is going to be resolution to this particular situation. And my guess is not necessarily the hot war. This is going to be a rewriting of the way that, especially how Americans view their reality of what they deem to be a good life, consumerism. This particular trade war is going to draw a new paradigm shift to the way that America sees itself and how the world also sees America in terms of its spending power. So I don't think this is anything radical because, I mean, this is actually what's happening. Now I'm going to ask, what is the higher lesson here, or what is the higher value of this particular trade war? Okay, so this is what's obviously in front. What is the element that we currently cannot see or don't know about? What is the shadow side of this trade war? Okay. Oh, this is good. This card is actually La Luna, which means the moon card. What you can see here is part of this woman is submerged in water, and the other part of her is looking at this situation, which is the result of, it looks like climate change, right? So it looks like the normal places in which we don't see water are submerged in water. And the moon card is symbolic of confusion and lunacy. So we all know the transition of the werewolf. So this is the depiction of that. However, right now, something that we are gradually seeing anyway. So Israel is on fire. LA was on fire. We just had one of the strongest winds rush through China. I just saw the news just then. And there's going to be more turbulence in the world. Protests are running rampant. Like, we just had quite a big protest for the US and France especially, to leave Ibrahim Traore alone, okay? Because after he rose to power in Burkina Faso, there have been like 15 coup attempts made on him already because the US desperately wants to get rid of him because he's nationalizing the gold mines. So what we're seeing here right now is a state of confusion. So like I said before, this immediate trade war energy is basically the judgment of consumerism, or the way that America sees itself, that shining city upon a hill. That paradigm is going to be broken down. That image is going to be broken down. And in its place is going to rest chaos for quite some time, because we're combining a natural disaster, which is the effects of climate change. And not only that, but there is this formation of the moon, which it's neither here nor there. So this changing of the guards moment between the US and China, it's not just a matter of a political change. It is a matter of a world, like it's like a world global change on a fundamental level, like on the scale of, maybe I'm thinking like tectonic plate shift, that kind of level. Like physically the earth is going to undergo something, as well as because there's going to be a huge political shift. Like I was saying, like when I was very active on Quora and everything, the reason why I wrote so much is I don't think I was particularly insightful or I was prescient. There was just a vibe already running through me all those years ago that was hitting all of you guys who read my stuff and who followed me, right? We could already see the thing coming except we were still approximately almost 10 years earlier to than this particular point that we've reached, at least 6, 7, 8 years. Because by the time I started writing, those feelings that I had and those thoughts were already percolating in my mind for a few years. So by the time I started actually joining those forums and expressing myself, if I look back now, it's about 10 years ago. And of course, anything sooner than that is just a huge gamble, because if we go back 10 years, which is like 2014, 15, back then China had not eclipsed US in PPP yet, okay, not even purchasing power parity. So China eclipsed the US in 2017, but by then it had already eclipsed Japan. 2011, it had already eclipsed Japan by GDP means, though by PPP means it had eclipsed Japan in 2001. But we were a little bit ahead of the timeline. But right now, I mean, it's clear to see America, the West, is going down. China and the East and Africa is definitely stepping up. So this change that we are going to see, it is basically a seismic shift, because we've had approximately 500 rules of Western imperialism and colonial rule and barbarity and savageness basically be the paradigm of how we see ourselves. It's always in the context through the white view, the white lens. So now this changing of the guard moment, it's a critical juncture, not only for us as people on an everyday level, but even on quote unquote a divine level. It's going to be a big shift, and you're going to see that via like weather changes in different countries, which are going to have an effect. So over here, the resources are going to become more prominent. And as we know, a few countries are trying to develop the solar technology, you know, the up in space where they're going to send solar panels directly up. China is leading, but the US is actually working on something similar. Japan is as well. So it's going to be a race to see who reaches at the top. And 2016, astrologically speaking, if you look at the 1930s when the atomic bomb was first created, this is all astro speak, so you don't really have to know this part. But basically, Pluto was in the sign of Leo. This time, 2026, Pluto is going to be the sign of Aquarius. China's rising or ascendant sign is Aquarius. So my guess on that is, this is a prediction that I'm making, not only has China been able to launch solar panels, refine and innovate in the solar panel game very successfully, but right now it's got the thorium nuclear core thing going on as well. So it's already launched. My guess is by 2026, China is going to launch all these free energies. So the thorium reactor, apparently China's got 60,000 years that it can use for free, because thorium is very cheap. It's cheaper than uranium. It's easier to find, less toxic, blah, blah, blah. So China's got 60,000 years of free energy ahead using its own resources. Basically, it's not beholden to any like energy source, really, any like from any other country, especially if it goes complete electric. I mean, I don't know if that's truly 100% possible. However, China's mainly EV now. By cars, it's over 50% sales. So I think within 2030, it could reach that 100% mark, simply because it's such an efficient country in doing these things. So I think it's going to achieve maybe almost self-sufficiency in powering up its nation. And I think by 2026, when Pluto reaches Aquarius, because Leo means personal glory, Aquarius means the group or masses, community. So my guess is the sign of Pluto, which represents extreme energy, like plutonian energy. The first you saw it via the atomic bombs, which was dropped in Japan. However, nuclear power is a very, very effective source of energy. And now that it's harnessed, like controlled through the thorium core, which is a lot safer than uranium, my guess is that China is going to spearhead that a spearhead that all throughout the BRI countries for one. So that's going to elevate their standard of living. And that's going to be the game changer, if not the solar panels up in space that can beam energy 24 hours. But I think that next, in 2026, the free energy concept is going to be pioneered by China. That's what I think, astrologically. So this is my political tarot reading, and I know this is going to freak everybody out because this is like not the way that I came across. This is not why you guys followed me, and I know I've taken a huge break, so I don't even know how many of you guys would actually see this, but it is what it is. I am who I am. I don't make any apologies for that. But yeah, thank you if you clicked onto this video. Thank you for sitting with me, and yeah, I hope to see you guys again, and yeah, I'll do another reading sometime in the future.